so many competitors. It's been a long weekend for them, and a lot of money on the line this weekend. $15,000 to first place, and this is a huge weekend for Tournament Magic. $100,000 is being given away in total at this event, and that's not even including all of the little ancillary tournaments. You know, the win-a-bucks is here, the various other small, tiny events. But between the three big tournaments, that's the Invitational we're watching now, the Standard Open, which concluded this morning, the Legacy Open, and the Draft Challenges, $100,000.
Have you seen some of the people in the Draft Challenge pools?
Oh my God, yeah.
Wow.
Cedric Phillips, Saul Malka from the yesteryear, who keeps winning these draft challenges. Jerry Thompson, Pat Cox, Josh Cho.
Christian Calcano.
Yep, that's right.
And you've seen a lot of the faces that you see out there in your GP Pro Tour circuit playing this because it's the Draft Open, and like everybody else says, who could not love draft? All right, these guys are making decisions right now to determine if they are going to go keep their hands. Milton Figueroa cracks a land.
Milton Figueroa is the number 6 seed. You would have expected that Milton would have been on the draw here, but his opponent upset Shaheen Sarani and is the number 7 seed, so Milton, being slightly ahead in the standings, gets the choice of player draw.
All right.
Turn 1, Milton. Probably going to go with some sort of library manipulation or a discard out like Careful Study.
We see immediately in Chihoi's hand, Terminus, probably not what he wanted to see directly in his hand. Would have been nice to be able to pull that for a miracle, but it does look like he did have a Sword of Plowshares also in his hand.
Well, if Chihoi can get a Brainstorm, that Terminus in hand is going to be a real boon. You can see one of the actual factual counter spells, as in the card named counter spell. A Thought Seize from Milton Figueroa to open up the game.
This could be a chance where Chihoi might want to Force Will this. Oh, no, he's going to let him do it. Okay, it reveals 2 lands. It reveals Force of Will, Sword to Plowshares, Counterspell, Counterbalance, and Terminus.
That is an amazing example of just how active Chihoi's deck is against Milton Figueroa. Literally, every single card in Chihoi's hand is relevant to Milton's deck.
If you're Milton, what do you pick here?
I would need to know the rest of Milton's hand. I would need to know the rest of his hand.
All right. Okay, looks like he has a Brainstorm, Ponder, another land. Tough decisions made by Milton. All right.
Goes for the Counterbalance. The idea, I believe, that Milton would be having with that Counterbalance is if it gets out, there are just far too many cards that Milton can't even resolve anymore. All it takes, with all of the 1s in his deck, all of the 2s, it's very easy for even naked Counterbalance flips to hit.
Chihoi plays Island, passes turn. Okay, we see a Ponder by Milton.
If you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan, here with Robert Martin. We are bringing you coverage all weekend with Vibensec. Ponder is not a shuffle, so he keeps the card in hand and lays a Swamp.
All right, Chihoi on the play here. Land go. Has Counterspell clearly set up in his hand, but Milton does know that he has that gone, ready to go.
We see another Ponder, a Brainstorm, an Iona, and it looks like several different reanimation package spells down there at the bottom. And he starts out with main phase Brainstorm. Regular listeners will know I like to call main phase Brainstorm the best kind of Brainstorm.
All right, let's see what we got here. Looks like another Thought Seize potentially. Ponder. And I cannot tell what that white card was.
Ponder and Iona are going to be
Iona.
returned to the top of. Or was that Ponder or a Swamp? I thought it might have been a Swamp. Anyway, Iona and a card. Then following that, Milton lays the fetch land, so he turns that Brainstorm into a Braincestral Recall.
I did see a Grizzlebrand in Milton's hand, I believe, on the flash through. On the flip through. Okay, land go by Chihoy. Fetch land cracked.
Now remember, Milton knows what Chihoy has in hand. Milton knows that there's a Counterspell, a Force of Will, a Swords to Plowshares, and a Terminus.
Okay, we're looking over Milton's hand real quick as he flips really fast. Looks like he drew. Okay, there's the Grizzlebrand, as we can see. Grizzlebrand, Iona. Oh, that's a land. Fetch land. Ponder.
I think I see a Reanimate in there as well.
Yeah, careful study right now would be really helpful for him. Probably be met with a...
Thoughtseize at the front of his hand. Reanimate, Ponder. You can see the Counterspell. There's an Entreat the Angels. It looks like a second Swords to Plowshares has been drawn. And Inquisition is going to let Milton check out some more, see what else there is. Chihoy considering a Counterspell on this.
I mean, he really does not want to give up what he has in his hand right now. It does leave him open. It will leave him open now because he does not have a second blue card in his hand at this moment.
And Milton says go.
Okay, there's an island. Go.
Passes back. A fifth land here for Milton Figueroa. You can see him go Ponder. A little bit more development. Chihoy says go right ahead. And Milton, throughout this weekend, has often had his cards there through Ponders and the like. Just like so. Unfortunately, we can't crane our necks well enough to get past these two-dimensional barriers to see what it is he actually saw there on the Ponder.
All right, he keeps the Ponder. Looks like another land. And he will pass the turn back.
Without laying a fetch land down. He still has that other fetch in play that he can use to shuffle things away. And he does indeed shuffle away the top of that library. He took the one card he wanted and let the others go away. Now, one thing that these players always have in our top 8s of events is they always have full access to each other's deck list. What this means is they actually get to know every single card in the opponent's deck. That does things like, for example, Milton Figueroa, he can actively search for both of his undergrounds right away and not fear for Wasteland.
Okay, we have an update from the other match. Todd Anderson wins game 1 over Ben Friedman, and they are now off on game 2, but Todd Anderson up 1-0. Milton Figueroa, a Ponder here.
3-Moon Ponder. If that card was not a foil, it would be my favorite kind of Ponder. And this time we get a little bit of a glance there on that Ponder. You can see a land, at least one land.
In first place, Jonathan Long. In second place, John.
And Milton leaves it on top, grabs a card. I think he's going to lay a fetch land to shuffle the rest away.
In fourth place, Mitchell Anderson. In
there it is.
Cedric Phillips. In sixth place, William Cruz.
Now, 5 land in play for Chihoy Yim. Wow, another Swords. That's the third Swords. Another land in play. That is 5 land, so he can hard cast Force of Will.
All right. Okay, and Tomb comes out. Throws one in the graveyard.
Another thing to note, for all of you Cedric Phillips fans out there, Cedric Phillips is in the top 8 of the first draft open. The other player you might be curious about, Patrick Sullivan, also in that top 8. And I apologize, I don't have the other 6 names, but I did catch those 2 at least. So Cedric Phillips fans, maybe you've got something to cheer for.
You got to see a little bit of Patrick Sullivan's. He ran a mono white flying deck. Really powerful deck. Goes really fast.
Okay. And we see the Entomb. Does it resolve? Okay, pardon me, the deep analysis from the graveyard. The Entomb resolved got deep analysis. There we go. I missed that as I was listening for that top 8. Deep analysis, a classic card. Milton Figueroa also has crippling fatigue in his deck.
Another fetch land by Milton.
I mean, is he just building up to hardcast his Gristlebrand?
3 Swords to Plowshares now in Chi-Hoi Yim's hand.
Swords, 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 Force of Will, Entreat the Angels, and Terminus.
Yes, he's definitely got a prepared defense against him.
Other than the fact that he has all of the cards he would want, except for maybe the usual part of his deck, Counterbalance and Top.
All right, Milton cracks another land. Down to 11. Untaps. Draws. Maybe it looks like an Angel of Despair he just drew. Oh, Ponder again.
And we see a Crippling Fatigue go way to the bottom of that. He's going to put that at least 3 down. Crippling Fatigue not effective against Chi-Hoi Yim.
All right. Milton Figueroa trying to determine what to do. It looks like he's going to keep it.
You can see the Careful Study that is in Milton Figueroa's hand. I imagine what we might see is a Fetch and a Careful Study. Because that Crippling Fatigue is just dead in the top couple of cards in Milton Figueroa's deck. Careful Study, though, one of the interesting things about Careful Study from this position is that Careful Study does, represent a potential threat to Chi-Hoi Yim that might even be worth countering. Are we going to see an Entomb instead to... Oh, another discard spell. Let's clear the way. Do you have anything to stop this with? Milton might be in for a rude awakening if he gets to see that hand. Look at that hand. God.
Terminus.
Swords, 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 force.
Terminus.
There's an Entreat the Angels in there as well, hanging out with its buddies. Okay, and it does resolve. Oh, look at that. It's actually 4. Count them. 4 Swords to Plowshares. Entreat the Angels, Terminus, and Force of Will. Wow. Wow. Okay, that is basically all of the cards, except for Entreat the Angels, are relevant problems for Milton Figueroa. And the Entreat, well, that's the finisher. So Milton says, well, I'm going to take your Force of Will. Then I'm going to fetch, shuffle away that Crippling Fatigue from the top of my library, get something else going on here.
All right, Milton cracking another land.
It's important to note that Milton Figueroa, his land, he only has 8 mana producing land, so there's only 2 left in there.
Everything else is something powerful to what he can use for his engine.
Okay, so it's like fetch, fetch, fetch for the rest of it. And he is getting up to that point where he might be able just to cast Gristlebrand. Now, the value of a Gristlebrand at this point in the game, even if it's going to get Swords to Plowshares, Milton can draw 7 cards from it.
All right. There's the Careful Study.
Oh, and despite shuffling his library, the Crippling Fatigue found its way to the top again.
There's the Angel of Despair. Not surprised that it went there.
For those of you who greatly pay attention to graveyard order, it's worth noting that that Careful Study should be on top of whatever he discards.
All right, and for, again, those of you just joining us, this is the semifinals of the SCG Invitational in Atlanta, Georgia. You're watching Game 1 of the semifinals. Chiho Yim with blue, white-red Miracles, Milton Figueroa with Reanimator. I'm Robert Martin, joined in the booth by Adrian Sullivan. Also along with us this weekend is Ben Sek. The finals of the Invitational will be called by Adrian Sullivan and Ben Sek. But as of right now, we are only at Game 1 of 5. The best of 5 between Chiho Yim and Milton Figueroa.
This is the largest invitational we've had yet. It's about 100 players more than the previous one, and more than double the size of the invitational from 2 invitationals ago. Okay, what do we have? A discard of...
Angel of Despair and Grizzlebrand?
It looks like it's going to be the Grizzlebrand. It is indeed. This means, well, maybe not, maybe not. He's thinking hard. Oh, he's not sure. He's not sure if he wants to discard the Grizzlebrand because he's getting so close to being able to cast it.
Okay, he does do the Angel of Despair.
Definitely the Angel. He can't even cast that card. Oh, do I want... Okay. He decides. That was a hard call for him.
It did not seem like he wanted to do that. There is some hesitation with that call.
Here comes his first attempt. It's going to be an Animate Dead on Grizzlebrand. This is going to, we know, resolve. It's going to mean that Milton Figueroa can go down to 1 life and draw 7 cards. And then the Swords to Plowshares hitting him will bring him right back to 8, if that is indeed what Chiho Yim does. Chiho could also cast a Terminus to put that Grizzlebrand back in the deck. Yeah, oh, there we go. I think he's
telling him the order
getting the
wrong.
order of the graveyard needs to be fixed. Right there. Careful Study on top. There we go. It's a minor technicality, but it is the rules in Legacy. In Standard, you no longer have to worry about graveyard order, but Legacy, there are cards that exist, even though we all know they're not in this match because there are no Phyrexian Furnaces in Chiho Yim's sideboard. There's still, the rules must be maintained.
Okay, Chiho Yim will crack his fetch land, go out and get another land. Hopefully get that top of the library, something that he's looking for.
And fetches again.
Another one.
He's going to cast the Terminus hard. In response, I presume we're going to see Milton Figueroa draw 7 cards looking for a Force of Will. Now, the unfortunate thing for that play, not even looking for a Force of Will, a Force won't do it because he would die to his own Force of Will, but draw 7 cards to refuel.
And there's the Terminus.
Right here, that's just so backbreaking when you have a draw 7 as a part of your play. Milton checks his life total, says, I'll draw that 7. This Terminus is going to resolve unless Milton wants to kill himself.
Yeah, well, that would not be exactly the best selection. He does have a handful of cards now to play with in his hand.
And I think we're going to see Grizzlebrand go back down to the bottom. I wonder if we can look at that graveyard more fully and just scan across it. I'm curious if there's an island in the graveyard.
I don't see one.
Can't quite tell. Okay.
Careful Study, Angel of Despair, Thoughtseize, Ponder, Marsh Flats, a 3rd Ponder, Inquisition.
Okay, cool.
Catacombs, yeah.
So
island.
Milton Figueroa now at 1 life, Angel of Despair in the graveyard. And the important thing to remember, Milton can no longer cast Thoughtseize. He can no longer cast the card Reanimate. And the reason being, those cost life. fetch lands also, they're just going to look pretty, really.
Yeah.
Because unless he gains life, he can't use those. Going to see, I think, start with a careful study.
There it is.
Careful study.
Looks like he drew fetch land and another card.
And he discards Platinum Imperium, pardon me. And is that a
That's a
Sphinx of Uthan?
Yes, that is. Nope, he throws away. Oh, we got to put him back in order.
And he's like, what's that? Oh, yeah, Crippling Fatigue. Not so good against you. Now, Crippling Fatigue is really good against a lot of other players, though. Having that in your graveyard as a tutorable kill spell can be very important. He also entombs Iona.
Yeah, Iona would be a very nice card to have right in there right now.
Now, it's funny, at this stage in the game, Milton has all of his mana-producing land in play. He literally can cast Sphinx of Uthun, Gristlebrand, Platinum Imperium, and those are the spells he can cast. But without enough mana producers otherwise, he can't cast any of the rest of his spells. It's all about Animate Dead. It's all about basically cheating cards into play with Reanimate, Animate Dead, and like this Iona, which, if it names white, is going to be pretty rough for Chi Hoi Yim.
And he does name white.
Milton does remember that there are 4 Swords to Plowshares in that hand.
Here comes the Imperium. Not many times can you put yourself down to 1 and your opponent be almost at 20 and you totally swing and take control of the game. Okay. Angel of Despair, knocking out a land.
Now at this point, what needs to happen for Chi Hoi Yim to be able to win this game, he needs to lay a Jace the Mind Sculptor to bounce the Iona. Jace the Mind Sculptor is now his only path out of this.
And he does not have it. Okay, and he just scoops.
Yeah, Chi Hoi knows how the game works.
Wow. Nelson Figueroa taking himself down to 1 life.
Amazing. That was like a really impressive setup. Okay. So, if you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan. I'm here in the booth with Mr. Robert Martin. How goes? How goes?
Wonderful. I've had so much fun these last 2 days, and amazingly enough, it doesn't seem like this day seems to be, I mean, I've heard before the stories of this being day 3. It's such a grind. I don't know, day 3 seems to be good. Everything seems to be going well. We got great magic.
Well, there's that, but also besides that, there's 3 of us here today.
Yes.
So Ben Seck is not here in the booth. He will be, though. But besides, you know, what we've been doing all weekend, which is giving away, you know, amazing, awesome, you know, coverage to everyone out there. We've had great interviews.
Yes,
there
we
was
have.
a live Ruben Bressler Magic the Newsening. Some good stuff going on.
Yes.
And I don't know, I'm really excited about this whole weekend. Do we have a giveaway that we're doing as well? Oh my
Yes,
goodness
we
gracious.
do.
So if you're just joining us, the way that these giveaways work, it's pretty simple, pretty easy. You tweet into us, and that is with the hashtag SCG Premium. And what you do is you answer a trivia question. The correct answer to that trivia question, tweeted with that correct hashtag SCG Premium, 1 lucky person amongst you will get a free, what are we at for this round right now? 6 months of premium.
Wow.
So the question that I have for you, and correct me if you haven't already asked this question.
Okay.
The question I have for you is, in the standard open, which concluded this morning,
Yes.
what archetype won the last event, I suppose you could say, in standard? That is a big event, the last major event here in the pre-Returned Ravnica standard. So, the question, what archetype won the standard open this morning?
And if you were watching the coverage, and at the end of the coverage, I interviewed the gentleman who won. And we talked a little bit about his deck. So you should have a very good insight of what that deck should be.
Absolutely. I hear it might have been, I shouldn't give away any hints. Okay.
You sure?
Well, for those of you who are just joining us, remember, hashtag SCG Premium, tweet in your answer with that hashtag. What archetype won the Standard Open this morning? And let's go back to our match in question here. Milton Figueroa went down to 1 life off of a Gristlebrand, and then had Chihuo Yim terminus it away. I should say it was terminused away, and then he went down to 1 life to draw 7 cards. You can see their sideboards here. Look at the really interesting option that Milton Figueroa has. Right there at the top of those, 1 Bloodghast, 4 Delver of Secrets, 4 Snapcaster Mage. He can do a transform here. He can very much become, look at me, Thoughtseize. I'm also going to lay a Bloodghast. Also, I'm going to Thoughtseize again with a Snapcaster Mage. But he can tear things up.
But after this game 1, oh, it looks like he is making changes, but I don't know if you want to make that change. Maybe you should wait till game 3 to make a change like that.
It's a hard call. One of the things about going down that path, it does set you up for more effective counterbalance locking you down, because you do have all 1s and 2s, and you don't have some sort of explosive, crazy play on turn 2. Part of the value of Reanimator is doing something like this. Turn 1 Entomb, turn 2 Thoughtseize followed by Reanimate. That opening play, particularly if you happen to have a Force of Will as well, it sounds like, you know, a wishful thinking dream, but it happens more often than you'd imagine. Now, Chihuo Yim, on the other hand, whatever he sideboards, all of his cards are going to be good against either version of Milton Figueroa's deck. It's just the question of which cards are going to be more valuable. I predict that Milton Figueroa is going to be bringing in some number of these cards from the board, probably, I'm going to say 1 Bloodghast to dodge the potential for a lockout from Counterbalance. And I think he might also go with Snapcasters just to increase his disruption. And Chihuo Yin, I think we're going to see from him Tormud's Crypt and Relic of Progenitus, definitely. I think we're also going to see Trinket Mage to be able to tutor those up. We're going to see Counterbalance because he can help lock out Milton Figueroa that way. I think we're going to see Humility, Enlightened Tutor, and look at those Pyroblasts. I think we're going to see Pyroblast, you know. Honestly, looking at this again and again, that's actually something like 10 or 11 cards he could bring in. Even the Vendilion Click is good. So what would he take out? He could take out Engineered Explosives.
Yeah, that he doesn't seem to really need right now at all.
He could take out... Wow. I mean, here's the thing. He's got all of these amazing cards in the sideboard, but how much of them want to go away?
Yeah, he really would lose a lot when he needs those counterbalances. Entreat the Angels is one of his win conditions.
I think he takes out the Entreat the Angels. I think that he's in a situation here. He doesn't need to go for the win. He needs to stop Milton from winning, and then he can win on the back of Jace and/or Vendilion Click.
Jace, the answer for everything.
I mean, I think we're going to see Engineered Explosives and Entreat the Angels be the easy out. That's 3 cards easy going away. And
hard counterspell, maybe?
Hard counterspell can be so good, though, in this matchup. It's actually... Oh, this is a really hard call. I bet you, looking at the way this sideboard is set up, I'm going to dial back some of my claims before and say that I think it's actually likely that Chihuo might go for a minor sideboarding thing rather than going in with everything that he has options for.
Well, let's read you his main deck at home so you two can make your own decisions off this. He has 2 Snapcaster Mage, 2 Vendilion Clicks, 3 Jace the Mind Sculptor, 1 Engineer's Explosives, 3 Counterbalance, 2 Entreat the Angels, 3 Terminus, 4 Sensei's Divine and Top, 2 Spell Pierce, 1 Oblivion Ring, 2 Counterspells, 4 Force of Will, the 4 Swords to Plowshares that you saw, and 4 Brainstorm, and of course the myriad of islands.
Including a Caracas amongst those cards for his land.
That Caracas, that could do some work. But let's see what happens here as both men are shuffling up a little bit.
I can also see a cut of 1 Jace the Mind Sculptor. While I like Jace the Mind Sculptor for getting ahead, just doing something like this, tapping out and laying a Jace, could mean you die. So we'll just have to see which way this goes, though.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if Milton does that full switch to the other deck on this game. Oh, both men here are offering up.
For Milton, he has something similar to Chihui, where he's got a couple of cards that are just pretty weak in this matchup. Some of his reanimation targets can definitely go, but Dark Blast and Crippling Fatigue, not that hot. If you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here in the booth with Robert Martin, and we are in the second game of the semifinals between Milton Figueroa and Chihui Yim.
We are at the SCG Invitational in Atlanta, Georgia. Chihui Yim on the play. Land go.
You can see the Enlightened Tutor. This means he can immediately get at the end of this turn a Tormod's Crypt, a Relic of Progenitus, or a Humility.
I see an Inquisit in Milton's hand there.
There's a Thoughtseize, an Inquisition, and numerous other cards. And Chihui, in response to this discard, goes to tutor up something good.
All right. There's a top that he's looking at potentially. He's thinking about taking the top.
He's got top and counterbalance settled into his hands. He goes for Sensei's Divining Top. And he shows the rest of his hand.
Jace the Mind Sculptor, Entreat the Angels. Land, Sword to Plowshares. And I believe that's a Snapcaster Mage? Yes, that is.
So he's kept in at least one Entreat the Angels. Sometimes a deck like Miracles can fake like it's a aggro control deck by dropping a really quick Angel or a really quick 2 Angels off of a prepped Brainstorm and then just going to town with it. But I do think that that's a little bit romantic. And it sounds like from the floor, Glenn Jones has some news for us. Todd Anderson is now 2-0 in that match. There are still 3 games that could be played out. A 3-match streak would be required by his opponent, Ben Friedman, in order for him to beat Todd Anderson.
All right, he does take Jace the Mind Sculptor from that pick. Chihui draws. We know it's Sensei's Divining Top. Plays a fetch. Go. Milton Figueroa draws. Look like.
You can see an Iona. One of the things about Milton Figueroa's transform sideboard, he doesn't even have to go all in on it. He can still leave a couple of cards to have a slight version of reanimation along with the rest of it, but it looks to me like that Iona is at least one indication that he is going straight up with the reanimation plan.
Okay, there's Ponder. All right.
He's pondering these 3 cards that we can't see.
One looked like a land.
I think it was a land, and I think he put it on top. Yes, he did.
All right.
A Underground Sea was put on top of his deck by the Ponderer, and then he draws it, plays it immediately, and casts an Inquisition. You can see Snapcaster, Entreat the Angels, and Swords to Plowshares are what's left. He takes Snappy.
All right. He is down to just Entreat the Angels and Sword the Plowshares right now.
Keep. We see Chihui Yim use his Sensei's Divining Top to set up this draw.
Click.
Brainstorm and Terminus.
Well, that's a good thing about the top. The top will keep that Brainstorm, or keep that Terminus exactly where he wants it in case Milton goes off.
And Chihui draws Brainstorm. It says go.
Okay, Milton's draw looks like a brainstorm of his own. And he will play it.
He lays his land first, it looks like.
Okay.
And we see 2 mana. Oh, maybe not. Bloodghast is what he's thinking about here.
Goes to the brainstorm.
Brainstorm, looking to make a Braincestral Recall here. He draws 3 cards. He's going to be able to place 2 cards back, and if he chooses, shuffle them away.
Another brainstorm, Delver, and a 3rd card, Iona. And what else is he going to take with Iona?
So you can see he's going to put back, it looks like Iona, and presumably some kind of instance so that he can have the top of his library set. And I believe we're going to see a Delver of Secrets. So he has done a partial transform. Iona means he has to have Reanimation still in his deck. But this Delver, he's moving into a more of a beatdown moment here.
So Chihoi comes back on the play here. Okay, he will spin the top.
And we see the Click, the Terminus, and the Humility. Humility Folio card.
All right.
Please report to the invitational stage. Garrison Moskowitz to the invitational stage, please.
If you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Robert Martin in the booth at the SCG Live production that we have, giving you Star City Games Invitational. We are in what right now? The semis. Top 4.
Terminus, Miracled, off the top here. Delver sent to the bottom. Not exactly how you would see Miracle Terminus typically played, but he understood the threat that that card would cause to him when it flipped next turn.
Chihoi has a...
Get a chance to thank a couple of players yesterday for participating in their 25th.
Pardon me while I wait for them to keep talking. Wow, this is the 25th Open. That's awesome.
Warren Beasley.
For participating in their 25th StarCityGames.com Open.
Oh, wow.
That's an impressive amount of
Yeah, so
events.
actually, this is not our 25th Open. This is Orrin Beasley's 25th Open. There was another player that has played in 25 Opens?
Yes, I didn't
hear the name. So Chihoi Yim, he is no stranger, of course, to our Star City Games circuit. He won in Birmingham earlier this year with Delver, and here he is playing Blue, White, Red Miracles in the in the semifinals of this, the Invitational.
Also, he won a Pro Tour qualifier.
Yeah.
Running Blue, Red Fairies. All right. Fetch land cracked by Milton, getting an island.
Draws another fetch. And the Swords to Plowshares still in Chihoi's hand, and he knows it. And look at that counterspell. Land. Chihoi grabs, fetches, gets a Flooded Strand, and Snapcaster Mage at the end of the turn for Milton Figueroa.
Snapcaster Ponder?
He can't ponder. It's going to be Snappy Brainstorm at the end of the
Snappy
turn.
Brainstorm, that's right.
You know, I think there might be a better Brainstorm now than a main phase Snappy Brainstorm. A main phase Brainstorm. It might be end of your opponent's turn, Snappy into Brainstorm, fetch.
Takes a lot of steps to get to that point, but...
Yeah, if Chihoi wants to stop this, he's going to have to draw a card with his top and then throw away the top to cast Counterspell. So it's just going to be an awesome card here for him.
Okay.
Milton Figueroa draws 3 from Brainstorm.
Angel of Despair, Burning Catacombs, and a third card. Looks like he has another Inquisition of Kozilek in his hand. All right. Searches up a swamp. Get rid of those cards. Interesting how in this case the Snapcaster Mage actually will be very effective on the offensive right now.
So we know then that there are 9 sideboard cards that Milton Figueroa has brought in.
All right.
I have not seen any careful studies, have you? Or is that one at the front of his hand?
I thought that's...
Or he just drew a ponder. But I'm talking at the front of his, I guess it's the back of his hand. Yeah, that looks like a careful study.
Yes.
Okay.
Ponder.
We see looks like a Sphinx, perhaps? I couldn't quite make that out.
I think one of them might have been another careful study. All right.
Yes, that is a Sphinx of Uthun.
Which got put back on top. Okay, there's the Inquisition.
Inquisition.
Of Kozilek.
It's a brainstorm to protect his cards.
Counterspell. Island. Force of Will.
Wow. All of these cards are pretty tasty here.
So what is he going to protect?
He crafts a hand of Force of Will, Swords to Plowshares Island, I think. Puts back Counterspell and Entreat the Angels.
Okay.
Only swords can be taken, so that's the choice that Milton Figueroa is forced to make.
Shows him Force of Will and land is the only cards left in his hand. There's the Blood Gas.
Okay, and now the question is Chi-Hua Yim going to cast the Miracle? He's got it set up so that next turn he can make 2 angels.
Ponder.
So next turn, Chi-Hua Yim can put the trigger from Miracle on the stack, fetch, have 2 angels, and then have Force of Will Counterspell back. In for 4 with Milton Figueroa.
We'll take Chi-Hua down to 13.
Okay, and he's actually going to do this during combat. Entreat.
Nice.
Put the trigger on the stack. Fetch in response. It's required to put that in there. Yeah, the top does not get to stick around. It's going to get shuffled away.
Okay.
And Miracle. 2 angels.
May not seem like much, but in a race like this, it can make all the difference. It will effectively...
So he nukes Milton Figueroa's side of the board with his
Yes.
angels. Now remember, Chi-Hua Yim's hand is Force of Will Counterspell. Now we're going to see perhaps the first move towards punishing Chi-Hua Yim for tapping out. We see careful study. Will Milton Figueroa be able to do anything dangerous here?
There goes the Sphinx.
Is that a deep analysis?
I'm not sure. I see a Brainstorm and a Ponder for sure.
It looked like a reanimation spell was around there too. Wow. He's thinking about losing this Brainstorm. It's a good set of hands or cards in his hand if he's discarding a Brainstorm.
Attention players in the second draft open. The pairings for round 1 of the coast. Once again, the pairings for round 1.
Which way is he going to go?
Open 2 are now posted.
Tough decision here.
And Chi-Hoi Yim, he knows he has a Force of Will he can use. Milton Figueroa saw that Force of Will, and the other card that's going away is Entomb. And we see an Animate Dead attempting to target this Sphinx of Uthan. I think we're going to see a Force of Will here. So now Chi-Hoi Yim empty-handed, and we see on top of that a Ponder. Milton Figueroa is going to take 8 in this next turn.
Okay, we
Looks
see.
like Dark Blast, Delver, and some other stuff. That's going to get shuffled away. Milton Figueroa, 2 turns away from death. Chi-Hoi Yim, no cards in hand. A unknown on top of his library because of the fetch land. Milton Figueroa only has a Brainstorm, but there are plenty of cards he can draw in these top 4 cards of his for next turn that could be helpful, not to mention his Ponder draw.
Okay.
The Ponder found him a swamp. That's not great.
Passes turn. Swings in for 8. Takes Milton Figueroa's life and cuts it in half. Draws another card, Milton.
Brainstorm main phase. We see a Gristlebrand, Angel of Despair. He's looking through his graveyard. I couldn't make out the rest of it. There's a little bit of angle glare on
Yes.
some of the cards. So,
All right. Ponder, careful study. In the graveyard. Looks like he has
And-
Swamp.
breaking news. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Todd Anderson draws 4 Force of Wills and wins in the other bracket. Todd Anderson will be playing in the finals against the winner here. So,
and
right.
the story lives on. The story lives on with him. He's 1 win away from giving his lovely wife, Kali, a wonderful anniversary gift of a wonderful check that he could win this weekend, and of course the trophy.
That's right.
But
That's right.
that would I think that gives Todd about as many trophies as Kali has, correct?
I couldn't tell you. Okay, Milton Figueroa on the right. He was just destroyed by those angels. I wonder if he's reconsidering his Delver plan. In order to fit in the 9 cards for the Delver plan, that's 1 Bloodcast, 4 Delver, 4 Snapcaster, he has to do a little bit of shaving down on the reanimation plan. And this game, all he needed to do was 1 reanimate and he would have won. But he didn't quite have it. Chi-Hoi Yim, he's got to be happy with how his sideboarding worked out. So he's going through to see if there's anything else he wants to tweak. He knows that the Delver and everything came in, so perhaps what he's doing is tweaking his sideboard a little bit just to deal with the potential Delver draw. But he doesn't want to move too far, because if he overly changes his deck around, he could be set up for the wrong configuration. This situation really does benefit Milton Figueroa, because Milton can present a question, and Chi-Hoi Yim doesn't know which one he's trying to answer.
As you saw in the background there, Brad Nelson congratulating Todd Anderson for his win. Just before that, Ruben Bressler, a little high five. Obviously, the SCG guys all work together. They all congratulate each other when they win. Hey, whoa. I think Chi-Hoi just caught a fly.
Wow.
On the snap. Wow, talk about a snap keep there.
That's funny. If you're right, it kind of reminds me of the 2020 interview of Barack Obama, where he did something very similar while he was being interviewed and just got a fly.
Not only are you president of the United States, but you still know how to kill flies in less than a half a second.
Milton Figueroa, he's got some flies in his deck, perhaps. 4 Delver of Secrets can change into Insectile Aberration.
Absolutely.
Now, Milton Figueroa, he is originally from Puerto Rico, but from what I understand, he's currently been residing in the United States for some time. He considers himself more of a legacy player than a standard player, so he is in, as they say, his wheelhouse. Chi-Hoi Yim plays in the South, and like we said earlier, he has a PTQ win under his belt and a Star City Games Open win as well.
That's a that's not a bad combination of things to have on his side. I mean, you know, beforehand we didn't know that much about him, but yeah, I mean, this guy's a moto grinder. I mean, he's on all the time, kind of like what Brad Nelson was doing when he first came to fame. Moto grinding like crazy. I see a lot of people doing that nowadays. It seems to be the way to go to keep your skills fresh and sharp, and especially if you can practice Legacy. It seems to be becoming more and more efficient here. Chiho Yim has a dividing top, looking to decide to keep Brainstorm. 2 land. Okay, Milton goes land, fetch land, crack. Jace the Mind Sculptor also is in his hand for Chihoy. And for those of you just joining us, this is game 3 of at least 4, potentially 5, of the semifinals of the Invitational. Chiho Yim running blue, white, red Miracles. Milton Figueroa running Reanimator. Again, Inquisitor Kozilek comes out early for him. We see land.
I predict top is going to go away.
Wow. We see 4 land, Brainstorm, and Sensei's Dividing Top. An interesting keep.
I mean, you
by
saw how he
Chihoy.
aggressively tutored for top before. Top is one of the cards that makes Chihoy's deck work.
Okay, on the other side we're looking at, we see a Ponder for sure in there. Potentially no other land now, if I am not correct. Okay, Milton's picking.
He goes for the top. I heartily agree.
Okay, Chihoy draws. Looks like another land. Passes turn. Milton Figueroa will probably ponder to find another land. Draws a Brainstorm. Okay. Or does he go for the next? Oh, he wants to play it again. Thoughtseize.
Brainstorm to protect everything. Draws
Land.
a Caracas. Draws another land. Wow, so that's a lot of land. Only 1 spell left in his hand.
That can easily be protected right here. But that is not the situation that Chihoy wants to be in.
I mean, thankfully he'll be able to shuffle that away, but...
Still, it's a mitt full of land.
Legacy Open competitors, that is time in round 3. Active player, please finish your turn and take up to 5 additional turns. If you have a time extension on your match, please raise your hand and call for a judge.
Milton Figueroa, seeing that he has all land. The Caracas especially might be relevant to him. But like you just said a minute ago, he will play a fetch land, shuffle those cards away after he gets his Jace.
He's got 1 land underneath his Jace.
Yeah.
So he's going to shuffle that extra land.
Yeah.
The 7th land that he saw after that Brainstorm.
Welcome back, Jace.
And there's a fetch land. Still only has 1 spell in hand. Milton Figueroa here. I think he's going to be doing the Ponder, looking for a land here.
Okay.
Is that a not seeing any land?
I don't think so. I believe you are correct there. If that's so...
It's bad news bears for Milton Figueroa.
Shuffle that away right away?
He's keeping the Thoughtseize. What he wants to do is he's actually, pardon me, the Reanimate. He's hoping to be able to, while Chihoy has no spells besides Jace, I think Milton Figueroa is hoping to be able to get a aggressive 2-turn based Reanimate happening.
Okay. Because we know in Chihoy's hand, all he has is lands and 1 Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Draw, Force of Will. That was a nice one.
Well, that will stop that turn 2.
Now we could see a Thoughtseize here from Milton. I don't know if he Has one left. Wow, he just says go.
Okay. There's Caracas. Taps 4 for Jace the Mind Sculptor.
And Milton says that's okay. He had little quote marks when he said okay, but
If you're Chiho Yim, yeah, you need to brainstorm right now to get some answers. That would be the safe play.
and we see an Entomb.
Angel of Despair. I believe the Angel of Despair will have his...
Oh,
Termo,
boy.
it's crypt. Nice.
Now, Milton Figueroa did that in response to the brainstorm effect to stop the ability of a Force of Will to hurt him. But look at that Tormod's Crypt.
Wow. Yeah, he now has a counter spell in his hand along with that. Ouch. Well, if you're Milton,
There's another Entomb.
yep. Still no second land. Brainstorm, hoping to find a land here. There's a fetch land right there. All right. We know he found a fetch land there. Looks like he wants to
Standard winner box number 5. Please head to the side events area.
get rid of...
Once again, standard winner box number 5. Please head to the side events area as your event is ready to begin.
All right, he's going to put
Looks like
Inquisition
it looked like an Inquisition to me.
on the top.
Lays a fetch, fetches.
Believes that all his work was done by the Inquisitions already. Well, this will severely help Milton Figueroa as he's been stuck on one land for quite a while.
Only 18 lands in Milton Figueroa's deck. Says go. Now this is a commanding moment. Chihua Yim untaps with Tormod's Crypt, Counterspell, Blue Spell, and Force of Will in hand. That blue spell is Brainstorm, but it's the blue part of it that's the awesome part.
Okay, time to start Fate Sealing.
Fate Seal you.
Looks like
You can
he's-
keep it.
Maybe that third land he might get out of his 18. Just past his turn. Hard Counterspell, Force of Will, Brainstorm, land.
And Milton Figueroa here cast an end of turn Brainstorm, and without any kind of fetch land, this is a very anemic Brainstorm, basically. What I mean by that, in essence, is that Milton Figueroa is going to put 2 cards back and then be forced to draw one unless he uses a card like Entomb during his upkeep.
It looked like that was Inquisition, Delver, and Ponder were the 3 cards that he drew off his Brainstorm. Yeah, he cannot be happy with this Brainstorm. Did not come up anything that he was looking for his deck at all here.
And it might be that he's also setting up, or maybe attempting to set up for a Delver 2 turns down the line.
Ponder?
Thoughtseize, what you got? Got a pretty good hand over here, says Chihua Yim.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of things he can do about it.
Counterspell? Protect his hand?
Brainstorm.
Or just protect it via the Brainstorm. Volcanic Island, Brainstorm,
Humility.
Humility.
You can see that Glacial Fortress in play for Chihua Yim. Pardon me, is that... yeah, Glacial Fortress. This is a anti-choke card.
Okay, it looks like Milton's get to see the rest of the hand here.
Once again, if you sign up for standard win-a-box number 5, please head to the side events area. Also, if you
There it is,
sign up for
Humility,
$10
Force of
drafts
Will,
in draft,
Brainstorm,
please
Counterspell,
head to the side
and
events area.
Fetch
Once
Land.
again, standard win-a-box number 5 and Avid Restored $10 draft. Please meet at the side events area.
That is a crazy hand.
It is.
Milton Figueroa has no answers to Humility in his deck,
No.
so he gets rid of it.
Okay, out comes Delver of Secrets.
It's not a particularly threatening card for Chi Hoi Yim.
He will fetch a land.
Now make sure that if you are watching at home, that if you have anything you'd like to talk about with regards to the Invitational, the hashtag SCGINVI is our hashtag for the weekend, and talk about what's happening in the match. You know, just feel free to join the conversation on Twitter. Follow us at SCG Live, and with that you can reach everybody here this weekend. That even includes Glenn Jones. Who? Glenn Jones. You can see Ruben Bressler there, right next to Chi-Hoi.
Looks like he will go another Brainstorm. This time, Counterbalance. Swords to Plowshares, Fetch Land.
Craig Margo, please report to the side event sign for your
Sword to Plowshares here?
Oh yeah.
On the Delver? Get rid of that. Get rid of that right away.
Well, maybe.
to the side event stage for standard win box number 5.
Now he buries a counterspell. After much contemplation. Untap. It's going to redraw. And his sword's at the end of the turn, too.
Yes.
There you go. Untap.
It just seemed to make sense. Let's let Jace run and have a little fun here and end the game here for him. There we go, Fate Sealing again. Chi-Hoi likes the card, puts it back on top, drops another land, Counterbalance.
Ouch.
Counterbalance, Tormod's Crypt, Jace the Mind Sculptor at 7 on the board for Chi-Hoi Yim. Milton Figueroa, 2 lands.
Inquisition. Whiff.
He didn't even bother to try to.
Yeah. Milton Figueroa. Inquisition of Kozilek. Don't fail me now. Oh, man.
Ugh.
Reanimate. He knows that Chi-Hoi Yim does not have the ability to cast a counterspell right now. The top card of Chi-Hoi's library might not be great. And then you're going to see Tormod's Crypt in response.
Avacyn Restored. Coming up and see Federico. He's going to get you started.
Pass his turn.
Also, players, we have.
Oh, there's the
3
counterspell.
players
Wonderful
today's
card to
playing
have right now.
who are
Yep.
participating in their 25th StarCityGames.com Open. With
He will.
Lance Barron,
Oh, he'll Brainstorm only.
Andrew Kavanaugh,
Enlighten.
and James Hess. Come on up to the
Enlighten
open
Tutor,
stage.
land,
Once again,
land.
Lance Barons, Andrew Kavanaugh, and James Hess. Come on up to the open stage. Thank you very much for participating in 25 StarCityGames.com Open events.
And Milton Figueroa rapidly running out of time here.
Just that announcement overhead just shows you the absolute popularity of this series. To have someone come to do 25 different events at this series over time since it began, quite the phenomenal feat. Again, thank you for watching at SCG Live, and for those of you who come to events, thank you for coming to the events. Because without you coming to the events really don't ever happen.
Milton Figueroa, Ponder, and we see a Enlightened Tutor in response to Ponder. I wonder what kind of card he's going to get to stop this 1-drop. Sensei's Divining top to the top.
There it is.
Now, if you're Milton Figueroa, you know this is a sad, sad moment. I mean, I almost wonder if Milton Figueroa should have responded to that Ponder with a Entomb. I think he has an Entomb in hand.
Your last call for
And now the Entomb is stranded.
box number 5.
Entomb is an instant.
Craig Fargo, please come up to the site.
It wouldn't have worked. Chihoi would have countered it, but still, get that counter out of the hand.
Okay, now we're fate sealing again. Up to 9 counters on Jace the Mind Sculptor. Out comes the top.
Chihoi has this game locked up. Milton Figueroa, I don't believe, has particularly any way to get through this in time. No combination of cards that I can come up with from his deck can get out of this problem.
And you know we already know he's sighted in a Delver, and probably the Bloodghast is still in there. So there's nothing that's going to stop this. Snapcaster.
And Chihoi can cast Counterspell if the counterbalance top doesn't get it.
He'll use top first to see what 3 cards are there, or is he just going to cast a straight Counterspell?
He just does a blind flip.
All right. Now the Counterspell.
Now that was in response to the top, so
Yes.
now the top resolves. Milton Figueroa. I think he's looking to animate his Snapcaster. And we're going to see the counterbalance top try to do some work here.
All right, let's see what happens.
Land. Jace. Okay,
Ooh,
this is
whiff.
going to resolve, but I don't know that it matters too much. Well, we've got the fetch. There are 2 fetches, so he still's got 2 more shots of stopping this.
That's the great thing when you are able to. Oh, in response to that.
Oh, he was too quick. Now, what was on the top of the library? It was land,
or island, volcanic island, Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Okay, so that was island, volcanic
Island,
Jace the Mind
Jace the
Sculptor on
Mind
top.
Sculptor, yes.
If they need to recreate
Yeah,
that.
if they need to recreate that, yes.
Did you get that?
Again, cards on top of his deck. Okay. Because this looks like a judge situation right here that we're going to have. For those of you just joining us, yes, this is only game 3 of at least 4, potentially 5 here of the Star City Games Invitational Semifinals between Chihoi Yim with blue, white, red Miracles, Milton Figueroa with Reanimator. Yes, we are 67 minutes and 20 seconds into this match. I am Robert Martin, joined in the booth by Adrian Sullivan.
Hello, hello.
As always around here, we always try to do our best to make sure we can do whatever we can to help out. And my partner here, Adrian Sullivan, just went over to help out with this situation, showing that not only do we broadcast, we also can help when it comes to judge rulings. And you were a former level 2 judge, correct?
Oh, a long time ago.
Long time
ago. I let that lapse. When you become a judge, it's something that they expect you to judge at events, and I just wasn't doing that very much.
But it's also nice to be able to have the grasp of the rule book, to be able to know what happens in certain situations that are different than most people do. I mean, a lot of people out there right now, judging has been something that has been really growing lately, and the quality of judging, even over the last 5 years, has improved so dramatically. There's a quality judges program. The SCG, during the event Invitational this weekend, there were 3 different separate events you could have gone to see, to work on your judges skills, judges meetings. They had 3 of them this weekend, including 2 of them on Thursday night. One was here on Friday, So if you aren't the best at Magic, be a judge. Judges are a great opportunity to get involved with the game.
Well, heck, you can even be the best at Magic, or amongst the best. I know that in Madison, when Mike Ron still lived there and wasn't living in Curacao, Mike Ron, Pro Tour champion, he would go to Magic events and be a judge. And why? He was like, I'm not going to play in this one, and I like having a box of Magic.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. The rewards for being a judge are not necessarily the worst. Okay, we are back.
And we've got the Sensei's Divining Top activation number 2. Well, it looked like we were going into it. Entomb on the stack, Animate Dead on the stack, and a activation of Top on the stack.
Well, it shows you how important every game of this match is. I mean, we are vastly approaching 70 minutes of action here. Okay.
The Entomb works.
Bloodghast.
Then the Sensei's Top. Pardon me, then the Shuffle. Finding a land. Then the Top. On the left, Chihoy Yim with blue-white miracles. There is a little tiny splash of red, but that's all for the sideboard. And Milton Figueroa with Reanimator. And the second look, oh, that's pretty bad news for Milton Figueroa. There is a 2-drop amongst Chihoy's cards, so that Animate Dead will not work.
There it is.
Wah, wah, wah. Meanwhile, waiting in the wings, Todd Anderson. He's been, I think he defeated his opponent, Ben Friedman, something like 40 minutes ago.
At least 30 minutes ago, possibly up to 40.
Glenn Jones is giving me the 30 hand signal.
Okay.
Then he goes west side.
Another Fate Seal. Jace the Mind Sculptor up to 11.
And Milton Figueroa here, because Chihoy Yim is not bloodied, he's not going to be able to get the Bloodghast to come out and hastily attack. Milton frowns, goes back to his sideboard, trying to make game 4 be where it's at for him.
Well, as you can see right now, Chihoy Yim up 2-1 on Milton Figueroa here. Semifinals of the SCG Invitational Open Series in Atlanta, Georgia. Last round, or last set for these cards that you're going to see in Standard. Now, I know we are in the Legacy portion of this, but it's been some amazing Magic. Let's...
So, what do you think that Milton's going to do? I mean, he clearly has this Bloodghast plan going on that he had before. Is he going to stick with it? I like the Snapcasters, but is he going to go with Delvers?
I almost wonder if it's... Yeah, does he go all in on that and pull himself out of the other plan? Maybe leave just a couple answers. Like I have a hard time if he gets rid of some of these cards, him getting rid of that Angel of Despair. The Angel of Despair seems just a really useful card for him.
And Milton Figueroa definitely still mulling things over. Chihoy Yim doing something similar here. He has seen Milton Figueroa with the Delver plan several times now at this point, and one of the things he wants to do is make sure that he doesn't lose to the quick Delver. A turn 1 Delver followed by a flip is not an unreasonable thing to have happen here. And Chihoy, his setup is good against Reanimator, it's good against a fast beatdown, but one of the things is that in order to go more towards one way or more towards the other, it will slightly weaken him on the other path. If you're interested in what's happening in the other tournament going on at this time, a tournament which might well be the largest independent Legacy event ever, I'm not 100% sure of that, but we have a lot of players in that room over there. Many more than 300 Legacy players in the other room. I have a quick word from Michael Hetrick, who's letting us know that he has started out 3-0 in the Legacy tournament. So cheers to Ship It Hala for opening up a 3-0 in that Legacy Open.
And he was my pick to make the top 8. He made a solid run throughout that first set of series of tournaments for the Invitational.
Did any of your predictions make it to the top 8?
None
of mine did.
I don't think any of mine did. I have to. Oh, no, I had Ben Lindquist.
My closest one was a top 32 from Carl Dillahay.
Yeah, mine was closest to Michael Hetrick.
Where did Michael Hetrick end up?
I believe somewhere in the. He had to be close to being in the top 30.
I should have gone with Shaheen Surani as a guess. He's pretty reliable in these events, and he was the second seed coming in. Lost in the first round to Chi Hoi Yim right here. Shaheen Surani with Stoneblade, and Miracles took that one down apparently in pretty regular fashion.
Fast fashion. So next time, if you have your SCG Invitational Fantasy Pool, Shaheen Surani might be a very good first pick. But
Chi Hoi Yim presents, Milton Figueroa presents. We're going to go to check for mulligans next. You know, right now, if you're Milton Figueroa, your back's against a wall. You got to win 2 games in a row. You might be on the play with this one, but if you win, Chi Hoi gets to start out on the play, which can make such a huge difference. Milton Figueroa has gotten a lot of mileage out of a turn 1 discard, getting rid of something like a Sensei's Divining Top. But let's see what happens here. Milton Figueroa, he's keeping. Chi Hoi Yim also keeps, and Milton Figueroa fetches on turn 1.
It looks like Chi Hoi in his hand had at least 2 lands. I saw Terminus. I believe there was a Snapcaster Mage in that hand. But we'll take a look and go from there. All right, there's his land from Nelson. Do we see an Inquisition? Do we see anything?
Milton Figueroa, he's on the right with Reanimator. If you're just joining us, Chi Hoi Yim on the left with Miracles. I'm Adrian Sullivan in the booth with Robert Martin.
All right.
Turn 1, Delver.
There you go. Exactly what he wanted to see.
You can see the Terminus, Jace, Snapcaster Mage, Island, a couple other white-based lands.
Okay, he plays Arid Mesa, passes turn. Oh, and there it is. It flips.
A natural flip showing Reanimate.
Milton Figueroa can instantly go on the offense here, putting Chi Hoi down to 17. The crack of the fetch land down to 16.
You know, earlier I was wondering about Force of Will from Milton Figueroa. I was assuming that he had Force of Will. And I was trying to figure out how he fit it, but looking at his list, there are 0 Force of Wills, so my apologies.
All right, and Entomb, that is going to go.
And we know he has a Reanimate in his hand, so what he's going to be able to do is, unless Chi Hoi has something to stop it, he could get, say, an Iona, and then lock a lot of this game out.
There it is.
Boom.
As called by Adrian here, looks like that is what is going to go into the graveyard.
And the other choice would be a Gristlebrand, or I suppose an Angel of Despair. No, that would be bad because it's a fetch land, not a real land.
Yeah.
So it's the 2 choices being Gristlebrand and Iona. Let's see what he goes. Jin-Gitaxias, if it's still in there, that's actually another choice. He goes with Iona. I like the lockout plan. With blue answers, Chi Hoi has so few blue answers that a Iona on white will end the game before a Jace can come into the game.
Okay, and there is a
Milton Figueroa fetches once again.
Like you said, this is setting up really nicely for him for next turn to come up here with something. Now,
if this resolves, Chi Hoi Yim has no answers in his 75 cards. If Milton Figueroa names white, we're on to game 5.
Hopefully we'll find out what he named in a minute here.
I'm presuming white.
Land go.
Untap, draw, smack you in the face for a lot.
Oh, he did name white.
So it's confirmation. That means there's just no answers for Chi Hoi here. He's just basically waiting to see if Milton will give him more information.
Down to
And
7
to
scoops.
game 5. You could see a visible sigh of relief from Milton Figueroa. And we're going now. Here's Chihoi's conundrum. The reanimation side of Milton Figueroa's deck is so powerful that if that element of the game happens, it's going to be lights out for Chihoi Yim. But the cards that he uses to answer that, cards like Tormod's Crypt, do nothing to a Delver of Secrets. So Milton Figueroa can go all in on one package or the other. All in on a Delver Bloodghast Snapcaster package, or he can go all in on a reanimation package. And in addition to those two possibilities, he can do kind of halvesies on both as well. And Chihoi has to make sure he sets his deck up for the proper configuration to answer that. Now, Milton Figueroa here, if you are a game theory enthusiast, you know that he is in the driver's seat for a kind of, we'll call it beginner's crash course on something like this. You could consider reading Mike Flores' Threat Theory, Answer Theory, which kind of is a layman's Magic player guide to what's happening here. So Chihoi Yim really in a problematic situation here where, despite being on the play, Milton Figueroa is kind of asking him a question and demanding that Chihoi find the right answer. That going first, though, maybe that will provide Chihoi enough of an edge for it to push over Milton Figueroa.
Whoever wins this last game here, they're not going to have a long break between this and the last game.
And waiting in the wings is Todd Anderson with Rug Delver.
How much for either player is playing a match like this that over 80 minutes right now? How much is this going to affect them negatively to the finals?
Well, I always say that that kind of question is entirely dependent on the player.
Okay.
You know, for me, I know that if I were sitting in either of those seats, that I get mentally fatigued pretty easily, and it would definitely negatively affect me. Other players, it seems like they have the stamina of, you know, a Hercules or something, and it doesn't ever seem to affect them. Gobdenis Vidaguris, somebody that I've spent a lot of time playtesting with, it seems like he can just play all day and not get tired, and then get ready for game 2.
Now, Gobdenis is a special player. Multiple GP championships.
Yeah, Go Dennis, one of our exports from Madison, Wisconsin out to New York City. There's always been kind of a New York-Madison connection, I think largely because New York is a place that draws people in, and the large university at Madison, Wisconsin, and a strong Magic community there has just brought players from all over the world to it. And there are quite a few players from the East Coast who end up in Madison and find a good home there. Sam Black is probably the most prominent player in Madison right now, but over the arching history of Magic, the most prominent player from Madison has got to be Bob Maher. The player that I will claim, and others will contest this, but I will claim he is number 3 behind Kai and John.
That's not a bad statement there, considering the great players we've had in Magic history. I mean, there's arguments all over the place for who could be that 3, 4, 5 slot of best players ever. 1 and 2 is very hard to argue. But
well, 1 and 2, the argument is which one is which.
Well, okay. If you go John, Kai, and then you could basically go 3 through 10 can be a large argument of putting in whatever order you want to put them in for being the best player of all, that next level of great players.
And it's funny because I know that when Brian David Marshall asked a number of players about this question, hey, who are the top players of all time, he interviewed a bunch of people that have had a kind of a historical side of the game and also have been great players themselves. You can find this article in Brian David Marshall's archives on the mothership at wizards.com. And when he asked me about it, I said that I probably would have a list of about 12 people that I would consider for that, 4 through, I guess, whatever slot.
10, you want to use that slot.
I mean, but I definitely feel, having played against and watched almost everybody at that top side of the game, it's not even close that Bob Maher is number 3, in my opinion. But going back, to the New York connection and such, you asked, that came out because we're talking about how how much fatigue would these players have going into the next match? Well, Chi-Hoi Yim and Milton Figueroa, if you look at them right there, they've had a long day already, but neither of them seem particularly, out of it. They seem like they're playing some pretty tight Magic. Chi-Hoi was a little fast on going for the shuffle there in the earlier game that he won, Game 3 of this series. But I think they both look like they're in good shape for to face off against Todd Anderson.
Okay, Chi-Hoi's hand looks like 2 land, Entreat the Angels. Sensei's Divining Top. Land top.
Opening top. That is the opening play he wants to make as often as possible.
Well, do we have first turn Delver? Yes, we do.
Oh, that's the return play.
He also has a Ponder in his hand to set up Delver if it does not flip naturally.
Oh, wow, look at this. No land there. I'm not sure what kind of land Chi-Hoi has in his hand, but there is a counterbalance.
I know he has a plane in his hand for sure.
Yeah, I can see the planes. There's a Spell Pierce, an Island, and Chi-Hoi passes after this. And now we're going to see whether the Delver is going to be able to flip. It doesn't even need to natural flip. Okay, a Spell Pierce for Brainstorm. So now we're going to have to look for the natural flip.
Okay.
And there it is. Okay. That's an all right draw for Milton Figueroa.
Milton Figueroa swinging in for 3 already.
Now, right now, Chi-Hoi is going to be on a race to find an answer. He does have Entreat the Angels. He has a Jace. But can he find a Terminus or a Swords to Plowshares in time? Milton Figueroa lays a land, casts Ponder.
Setting up more opportunities for him. That looks like an Entomb.
You see a Thoughtseize as well.
And a Thoughtseize.
I'm not sure, but I thought I might have seen a Platinum Imperium in there as well.
Okay, it looks like he has Ponder, Careful Study, Entomb, and I cannot tell what that other card is. All right, Milton. For those of you joining us, this is the semifinals of the Invitational in Atlanta, Georgia, the SCG Invitational Atlanta, Georgia. Chi-Hoi Yim playing blue-white splash red Miracles. Milton Figueroa playing Reanimator 2-2, Game 5. Everything on the line here to get to the finals against one Todd Anderson playing Rug Delver. The board state currently is 2 lands and Aberration for Milton Figueroa, Sensei Divining Top with 2 land over there for Chi-Hoi Yim. Chi-Hoi Yim has Entreat the Angels. He has Jace the Mind Sculptor, Counterbalance in his hand. He's going to go for the Counterbalance.
And passes the turn. And now Milton Figueroa. Basically what has to happen here, Milton, he's got the actual rough position. I think Milton's in dangerous shape here. Chi-Hoi can probably find an answer to the Delver of Secrets before it kills him. He's on, after this hit, he'll be at 14. It'll take 5 more attacks before he is dead. And he has a Jace in hand, and he's got Counterbalance, Sensei's Divining Top.
And
Milton's going to have to work really hard to sneak through some kind of problem that is going to be worthy of Chi-Hoi and his concern.
Okay, at the end of the turn, Chi-Hoi will activate the top. You see Jace again, Fetch Land, and Trinket Mage. Not having a 2 or a 1 on top there for Chi-Hoi. All right, draw. Trinket Mage. He does have the 4th land. And he will crack Fetch to get rid of the rest of those cards on top there. Okay, in response, Brainstorm. As we know, unless he wants to spin the top to see what the 3rd card is, that Brainstorm should resolve.
And it does.
Okay.
I see land, spell I can't read. I think that's an Entomb.
If that's correct, he should have 2 Entombs in his hand right now.
It is indeed an Entomb.
Okay. And there drops the Entomb. I would think since Chihoi's only seen 2 of the 3 cards on the top that he would take a chance to at least spin the top to see if that 3rd card might stop it. Oh, he's going to let it resolve.
And the Entomb works.
Ooh, it's an interesting choice there.
If you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here in the booth with Robert Martin. There is a kind of a stack of instants going on here from Milton Figueroa. He's entombed successfully. Chihoi Yim allowing him to entomb, maintaining a top counterbalance. So in this way, Chihoi Yim is basically saying, you know what, I don't think I care right now. You've got to cast a Reanimate, you've got to cast an Animate Dead. I'm going to save my top counterbalance for that.
Yep. Bloodghast into the graveyard with Entomb. Milton looking to apply as much pressure as he can, as quickly as he can.
Now, Bloodghast is the best thing I think Milton could do from this position, largely because it is totally reasonable for Milton to be able to get to a point where the Bloodghast can start connecting. There's going to be a Jace possibly coming from Chihoi Yim, and if that Jace bounces that Delver, we can expect the Delver is going to get stopped by Counterbalance Top, but that Bloodghast might not be able to be stopped. And we see 4 mana. That speaks of a Jace to me.
There
Jace the Mind Sculptor. Better than something or other. I always forget what.
Better than everything, according to Patrick Chapin.
I don't think he says that.
Better, isn't it better than everything?
Better than all.
Oh, better than all. Oh,
better than all.
Oh, see?
And the Insectile Aberration is still face up. It still knows the secret, even in Milton Figueroa's hand. If you're just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here. You're watching SCG Live. Robert Martin, do you think that Milton Figueroa can pull this out? I'm skeptical.
He's got to get an answer to that chase quickly. But Chihoi, I mean, he only has...
Okay. We start with the Delver, which he's going to have to reflip. Turn from an insect into a man.
Normally that's not the problem. It normally does not flip that way. Okay, we're going to spin the top here.
He's just going to draw and put the top on top.
Okay. Now
And
counterbalance there.
Only 2 casting cost spells can resolve now. We lay a fetch land. Bloodghast comes out. Does it work?
Go.
What happened to the Bloodghast?
I don't know.
Why is there not a Bloodghast in play? Didn't he point to the Bloodghast
I
when
thought
he
he
put it
did.
into play? It looked to me.
It's just below the ponder there. Ponder
Oh
between,
yeah,
okay.
I thought he looked at the Bloodghast and poked at it. Okay, maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't.
Okay. He self-brainstorms there. Looks like land, and I believe a brainstorm potentially. Yes, it is. Okay. Puts his cards back on top. Play the top again. That's such an advantage that Chihoi has, that now everything has to cost at least 2 or more for Milton Figueroa to be able to cast anything.
And fetch. Well, one thing he is able to do with this play, actually, and I can see exactly, I think he pointed to the Bloodghast and said, I'm not bringing it back.
Oh.
So now what he can do is at the end of the turn, get the Bloodghast out, and he'll be able to attack that Jace and get it out of here.
Yeah, anytime you can get
That's
rid of
actually
Jace.
super clever.
Yes, anytime you can get rid of Jace, there's an answer to a problem right there. But still, as far as getting other spells out, and Milton's got some work to do here.
Well, I mean, one thing he can do with this Bloodghast, as long as Chihoy does not have some kind of instant-based answer, Milton can get rid of that Jace and then hope just to ride the Bloodghast the whole way, and then at some critical point maybe do something else. Snapcaster also at end of turn. This is presenting a second threat here. This is quite interesting what he's doing.
I'm thinking he's got to try to do something here to stop this right away.
He's got to either... I think he's going to look for the top and see if he can find a 2, but...
If that Snapcaster hits, yeah, that's representing 4 a turn. That cuts his clock down to, because he'll hit for 11. Yeah, 3 turns. All right. Oh, there's a very nice card that he just flipped.
Wow. I think that might be what we call lights out.
Entreat the Angels is going to be on top and miracled next turn.
He puts it on top.
That will come in and miracle for 3.
We see a careful study drawn by Milton Figueroa. And now Milton is thinking, okay, well, what do you have then? Maybe now's the time to cast some spells.
Well, go for it now.
Well, maybe, right? Here we go. In they come.
He's going to make sure there's no shenanigans. He's going to take out Jace completely. Both attackers going directly at Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Jace, Chihoy's like, I guess Jace dies. If Chihoy just waits around, he can get a entreat for 3 on his own turn. Milton Figueroa in the unusual position of not wanting to cast spells into that Sensei's Divining Top, but at the same time not wanting to lay lands either, for just a sandbag for his Bloodghast. And Chihoy just rethinks, just makes sure he wants to do this now or later. It looks like he's going to delay on the Entreat the Angels for a full turn. At least that's what he's setting up.
That will make it 1 bigger when he decides to use it, because he will drop a land here. Passes back. Milton Figueroa here. Ponder, land. Cannot tell. It looks like Animate Dead and Careful Study. Another Snapcaster.
Nice.
And now he can actually do something with that Snapcaster because he has enough land left to potentially brainstorm himself.
And what we see here is Chihoy Yim. He rearranges the top of his library, puts a brainstorm there to say no thank you to that instant from Milton.
Okay, draws a card. Looks like a Ponder.
In they come, and I think Milton is going to find out that Chihoy has been sandbagging Angels.
Okay, he will hit for 6, and that will take Chihoy down to 7. Top.
He's resetting now the top, getting the entreat there. Draw.
Yep, shows the miracle.
It's a miracle.
Allows him to create
2 Angels.
2 Angels, which will kill off both the Snapcasters.
The only thing Chihoy Yim has to fear here is a 2 casting cost spell. There are no creatures in the yard, so even then, at an instant speed, there's nothing Milton Figueroa could do to actually threaten Chihoy within the 75 cards he has in his deck. It's a very safe miracle. Remember, we know what's on top of the library, and Chihoy remembers to activate his counterbalance. Looks like it is now a resetting the lock, or the semi-soft lock, some might say. In for 8.
That will take Milton down to 11.
They're tied right now. They both have 11 life.
Yes, right now.
One of the ways you can measure who's winning in Magic is take a snapshot and just compare life totals.
Okay, top. Spins top. That's a nice combination of cards between Brainstorm, Counterspell.
Now, Matthias Hunt from Minnesota, who was the Rookie of the Year not so long ago, he likes to call this garbage time, the time in which a deck has won it, and you're basically just waiting for the official match to be over.
Okay, he swings to that Blood Gas, taking him to 9.
Chi-Hoi Yim now effectively bloodied.
Untaps. Swings in for 8. Milton down to 3. Land go. It's got a ponder, but that can easily be countered.
And Milton Figueroa. It's all over but the crying. That's, you see him lift up his hand like that, he's like, I don't know, what can I do?
No.
Ponder? Does
Careful
this work?
study. He'll look anyways. Another Entreat the Angels. He'll flip the Brainstorm.
Okay, I've got this card. How about you? And Milton Figueroa, no spell in his hand can work. Extends the hand.
Wow.
We are on. It's going to be Chi-Hoi Yim in the finals.
90.